gonna Facebook message you a link that you should read.
It's a tweet from Brackney. All right, guys, we're gonna get rocking and rolling. Brackney's tweeted again. Dude, it's the same tactics. Well, I'll save this for the show. Brackney's tweeted again. She's trying to air some dirty laundry from within City Hall. She said she was gonna do this. Check your Facebook Messenger, J-Dubs. We'll talk about the tweet that she just sent out. That's in your inbox. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching today's program upon. Hammer that like button. We work hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is some engagement, questions, perspective, and liking and sharing the show. A lot we're going to cover on today's program. Yesterday we talked about City Hall potentially purchasing a $1,650,000 parking lot in downtown Charlottesville. You see that Facebook Messenger? They went ahead and made that purchase. $700,000 over assessment, a lot that has been on the market for an extended period of time. Why do you pay $700,000 over assessment for a parking lot that has been on the market for an extended period of time?
Right. It sounds like it's in hot demand.
Yeah. For a parking lot that now a planning commissioner, Rory Stolzenberg, is tweeting is not situated for development. He had some pretty scathing tweets, Rory, for city council.
I think I saw some of those. But
I'll read some of the tweets. Read the Brackney letter. You get to the gist of the Brackney tweet. For those that are watching the show, listening to the show, I'm going to put in the comment section of my personal Facebook page a tweet from Brackney that she released yesterday. I'll also put it in the comment section of my LinkedIn page, and I'll add it to the thread as we're live on Twitter as well. Judah Wickhauer is our director. I can rock and roll in 8 seconds, Judah. We'll talk stimulus checks as well. Some economists are saying that stimulus checks will be utilized if we head into recession. We can rock when you're ready, J-Dubs.
quiet on the set.
Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. Today is Wednesday afternoon, and we have quite a bit to cover, including more skeletons in the closet and dirty laundry from Chief Brackney from her time here in Charlottesville. We have a scorned former police chief who is suing the city for $10 million, claiming wrongful termination associated with race, sex, woman, female, associated with racism, and associated with backroom dealing and wheeling and dealing. About 16 hours ago, she publishes more dirty laundry. We'll talk about it on the show. In fact, I'll put the tweet, and Judah, you read that one closely. I'll put the tweet in the comment section of my Facebook page, the comment section of LinkedIn, and retweet it on the thread this show is airing upon. I'm going to send it now. We're going to talk also on today's program a $1,650,000 real estate transaction. City of Charlottesville just purchased a surface parking lot to help alleviate what some in the Economic Development Office are calling a parking crunch on the horizon. We will talk stimulus checks and how they could potentially be utilized in the next recession. I want to talk about a topic that came up on Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning. Michael Buchensky, a mortgage broker, let us know that he's working on a deal, $20 million deal, where institutional investment, institutional money, is purchasing essentially an entire neighborhood in Waynesboro, a mix of single-family, detached homes, and townhomes. So the institutional money is local and on the street here in Central Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. I want to cover on today's show. Give it a like, give it a share, just like Scott Aaronworth, our buddy, has done in Virginia Beach, Esquire Extraordinaire. Scott Aaronworth, Two Shot, Judah Wickhauer. Let's get you in the mix. First, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Second, you just finished reading the tweet from Brackney from yesterday. It's turning into a tweet a day, if you've noticed, with dirty laundry and skeletons in the closet from City Hall. This one yesterday from 7:56 p.m. 7:56 p.m. yesterday. Let's talk about what you read. She shows a picture, an image, a screenshot of a letter. She's blacked out certain names and words within this letter.
It's fair enough.
Your thoughts on what this first set the stage of what you just read. It's a confidential correspondence. A confidential correspondence on something that was exempt from a FOIA request.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, her tweet, I'm not really sure what she's talking about, receipts. Do you understand what that's referencing?
Receipts are proof of communication. Proof of papering the trail. This is proof. This is paper trail.
Okay. So, well, then I'm not sure what she means by why receipts are required for minority, black, brown, female.
She's
or
saying that, she is saying in Twitter that men and women that are minority, black, brown, female, poor, or marginalized have to go above and beyond in a professional setting because they are overlooked and looked through. So she's saying, I keep receipts of everything I do from a communication standpoint because I'm marginalized as a black woman. That's what the essence of her tweet is. What's the letter?
So the letter is basically saying what we already knew, the fact that it seems apparent that this person was at the Capitol. He described
the insurrectionist, January 6, 2021, the city employee who claims to be a freelance videographer who's been in the news of late, thanks to Brackney. Brackney put him in the news. Put Snook in a tough spot. Because Snook in a tough spot initially referenced the city employee as a female. And then secondly, he used language on the dais that had some folks scratching their head when he said they were allowed at the Capitol. That's language some folks don't interpret as being authentic and realistic and genuine and a reflection of what actually happened.
Okay. Finish
your thoughts on the letter.
I mean, there's nothing, you basically explained everything. There's nothing really new here. It basically says that he said he's an independent journalist and photographer, was present inside the Capitol with other members of the media, including CNN and Fox, and when when things got crazy and police asked him and the other journalists to leave, they did so. It ends with Chief Brackney asked that I send you this summary based on all information known to me at this time. And before that, whoever it was that wrote this says, it's my opinion that this is a civil personal matter. Since the CPD has no authority in civil matters, the department should not be involved in this matter further.
Yeah, she's stirring the pot.
I mean, I'm not sure why she would show this letter because it doesn't really, it basically says everything that was said before. The fact that, according to the facts that we know, this guy was in the Capitol. He was there as a photojournalist. He was asked to leave and left, and that's it. I mean, if you're gonna vilify the guy for being a supporter of the Proud Boys, go ahead and say that's what you're doing, but don't say that he was doing something wrong when all accounts seem to point to the fact that he was there doing whatever he was. I mean, not everybody in the Capitol was pointing guns around and, calling for the downfall of whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Here's what she's doing. Council, Charlottesville, City Council, has tried to distance itself from this story. And they have alluded to having no knowledge of this insurrectionist, a city employee who works in public safety, being inside the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
The city employee claims to be a freelance videographer, and that's why he was there. He was a social voyeur, if you may. He wanted to see what was happening at a historic or infamous time. Council, initially, the strategy was, we have no knowledge of this. We had no knowledge that a public safety employee was there. Then it was made reference in an interview with NBC 29 by friend of the program, Mayor Lloyd Snook, referenced the employee as a woman and not as a male.
Somebody's explained that, and it's a
Yeah, gender neutral language. It's hard now in 2022 to figure out which pronoun to use.
That's not it, but go ahead.
Brackney is saying, you guys have known all along who this was, where they were, what they did. You guys have known all along that the assistant police chief chose not to pursue because he said this was not within CPD purview. You guys have known all along that me as the chief, Brackney, pushed this up the totem pole to the FBI because Brackney thought it was a crime. You guys have known all along that this happened a handful of years removed from August 12th. And you've done nothing about it. So she's utilizing her social media accounts to yet again stir the pot.
Yeah, but it seems like she's the only one that thinks this is a federal offense, and everybody else was just like,
It doesn't have to be a federal offense.
Okay.
She's using this to win the battle of public opinion and popularity and perception.
Okay.
Would you not agree?
She's certainly using it. I would think that anyone looking at this would pretty quickly say, okay, if Lloyd Snook asked about this guy however many months ago, and someone, say it's the assistant police chief, tells him it's a non-starter, he showed me the fact that he was there as a photojournalist and left when he was asked to, why would Lloyd look further into that? So if she knew more and is claiming that this guy is, deserves to be fired and tossed in jail, that doesn't necessitate that everyone else thinks that.
Yeah, I think that's a great take. I think she's only doing this for the sole purpose of winning the battle of public opinion and to extort and to strong-arm the city into paying her money. Kevin Higgins, he's the king of Greenwood. He's watching the show. The king of Greenwood, Kevin Higgins, writes this to Judah and I. The former chief's attempt to get the city to write a check is extortion, period. And he believes the former mayor is helping set this up. He says there's no race card here and the city should fight through this.
I agree.
I think this is going to get uglier before it gets better, and I think the city should consider collateral damage and the magnitude of it and should pay some money to Brackney with a buttoned-up NDA or confidentiality agreement.
And I would still argue
it's a post a day. Dude, it's the same path. J-Dubs. Let's go eyeball to eyeball in here. We watched for 4 years how the mayor, former mayor, Micaiah Walker, utilized social media to cause, as a lightning rod, as a platform of divisiveness in this community. she was using posts to talk and air the dirty laundry of city council. Everything I just said is applicable, honest, and on point.
Okay.
And
I'm
we
not sure
saw
what the
as she was
connection is.
utilizing social media to air the dirty laundry of City Hall, the impact it was having on Charlottesville. Developers were like, this is chaotic, get us out of here. The national media, global, world media was covering it. We had freaking gift card issues for speaking at meetings and the who, what, when, where, why of private meetings, and it led to council not trusting each other in the community and the Charlottesville brand being tarnished. Why would we go through, we should learn from history, and why would we go through that again? It's the same playbook. She is allies with Walker, and she saw what Walker did. And she can say, look at what she did over the last few years and utilize that as the playbook and make it better and tweak the plan. Who wants to go into a gunfight with the brand equity of a community on the line? If Brackney loses this gunfight, what does she lose? She doesn't have the money now. Her reputation's already in peril, professional. She's likely never going to get hired again as a police chief.
Well, certainly not after this.
She has nothing to lose. $10 million lawsuit, nothing to lose. What does the city of Charlottesville have to lose? A lot. And forget the money. Forget the money. If it's a full payout of $10 million, an insurance policy pays it. An insurance policy pays it. Forget the money. The city has reputation to lose, brand equity to lose, more time in the news cycle. Former, fired, disgraced, black, female police chief suing city for racism, sexism, backroom wheeling and dealing, colluding, wrongful termination. Those are bad things. Bad things. And I respect your take tremendously. And I agree that paying her some money sets a terrible precedent. Terrible precedent, which is a point in your argument undoubtedly, and it's a valid and fair one. But sometimes as business people and as strategic humans, we have to weigh risk and collateral damage.
We were just talking about whether the city should raise a tax in order to spend $75 million on a school over 10 years. And now we're talking about giving someone $10 million.
But it's not, it's apples and oranges. The $10 million is paid by an insurance company. The raising of the taxes for school reconfiguration is paid by taxpayers, citizens. The $10 million payout or any payout is paid by an insurance company.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Word?
Yes. 100%. Sure about it.
Okay.
Sure about it. 100%. And the other difference is the school reconfiguration tax increase. We both knew, because we're common sense people, that the increase in taxes was going to push out the kids the reconfiguration was for. The reconfiguration isn't going to happen for years. And the increase in taxes is going to gentrify the kids out of the community that the reconfiguration was for.
And I still think if
Kevin Higgins agrees with you. He says the city should not pay a penny. They should countersue on principle.
And I think if this guy is the best that she has against them, it's paltry. Like, it's one guy. Who cares if this guy is, I don't think this guy is going to mar our city.
I don't think this is
badly
the
as you think.
only iota or aspect or piece of dirt she has.
It's probably not, but
This is just the card she's playing first.
I just think it's a poor first play.
Vanessa Parkhill says, I stand with Judah. Let this play out. The city will be fine. If she's right, the citizens of Central Virginia deserve to know. If not, then the city is vindicated.
I agree.
Queen of Earlysville, Vanessa Parkhill.
I wanna
The
know
King
what
of
else she has in there.
Greenwood, Kevin Higgins agrees with you.
I want to know what she's got.
I want to know what she's got. You want to know what she's got. Vanessa wants to know what she's got. City Council wants to know what she's got. But City Council doesn't want whatever she has to become public. 5 people, Snook, Wade, McGill, Pinkston, and Payne, are responsible for protecting Charlottesville. They should want to know what she's got and what level of corruption, if any, exists. But they should do whatever it takes for that not to be made public. That's their job. And if this is done in the right way, we would never even know that Brackney got paid out potentially.
Somebody would, if all of a sudden,
Potentially.
you're saying if the suit was dropped, we wouldn't know that she was paid out?
I would love to know what she has. One of the viewers and listeners, I just got a text. I won't use his or her name. Says this: I know what she has. Please don't use my name and call me later. Literally just got the text.
Did someone knows what she has?
Yeah.
All of it?
And the person who just texted me
That's
would
impressive.
know what she has. Would know. This person, man or woman, is connected.
I'd love to hear it.
I will give him a ring. Kevin Higgins, so the person who just texted me, man or woman, I'm not going to blow up your spot. That's why folks reach out to me, because they know I can be relied upon from an anonymity or discretion standpoint. For the person who just texted me, can you text me this answer? Kevin Higgins, who's watching in Greenwood, Virginia, says, I'm not 100% sure that the insurance would cover all the payout if it doesn't go to court.
I'm curious about that too.
Vanessa Parkhill also wonders, does insurance pay out whether they settle or as if they lose in court? So a person who just texted me, man or woman who just texted me, I'm not going to blow up your spot. If a settlement is reached and this does not go to court, does the insurance cover the settlement? If it does not go to court. Person who just texted me, do you know that answer? Because if it's not covered by insurance, then it's covered by taxpayer dollars directly. And I understand the taxpayer dollars are covering the cost of the insurance policy. But covering the cost of the insurance policy and doing a multi-million-dollar settlement payout are very different.
And I would be very, very surprised if an insurance company would agree to pay for something that didn't even go to court.
Well, that's the question. That's a fair question. You brought that question up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if they would even pay out on a suit like this, but
That's a good question.
I'd be very surprised if they would agree to pay out if it didn't even go to court, and
So-
we offered a settlement.
That's a very good question.
But who knows?
We'll see if we can look into that. And speaking of payouts, last night, as predicted on this show yesterday afternoon, we predicted this yesterday afternoon, City Council decided to pay $1,650,000 for a surface parking lot right off of Court Square. It's about a third of a mile from the courts. It's $42,000, $43,000 a parking space?
Yeah.
A couple of questions we have. This parking lot was for sale for an extended period of time. Why is the city of Charlottesville spending $700,000 over assessment for a parking lot that has been for sale for an extended period of time?
Yeah.
There was not significant demand to buy this parking lot. If there was significant demand to buy this parking lot would not have been for sale for an extended period of time. Furthermore, Planning Commissioner Rory Stolzenberg has posted on Twitter that this piece of property, this parking lot, is oddly shaped and not situated well for development. So if the parking lot scenario does not prove to be the long-term use for this parking lot, then the city may potentially have an albatross on its hands, a lot that cannot be used for other things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you stand on this, viewer and listener, Judah, but I'm not sure the future of transportation in our country is cars. Is that going to happen overnight? No.
It's definitely not in Charlottesville.
Is the transition to electric vehicles going to happen before cars are eliminated? Yes. But if cars continue to rise in costs and fueling those cars continues to go up in value, and we see mechanics are slipping in volume and having mechanics out in the world to service cars, right? There are not as many people going into that line of business. Eventually, you got to think cars might be not the long-term future for vehicles in cities. So you ask yourself, $1,650,000, $700,000 over assessment for some parking spaces. How many is it? Is it 39 of them?
Yeah, something like that.
Is it 39?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Carol Thorpe, hello. Welcome to the program. Let me do 39 times 42,000. Yeah, it's about 1,650,000. 39 of them. Is that the best use of money? James Carville. Neil Williamson posted this, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, in a previous show. James Carville, the political strategist, said this. He coined this, made it famous. The election. It's about the economy, stupid. Scott Aaronworth is the Esquire from Virginia Beach. He's watching the program. He says this, let's be clear, it's not Brackney playing any cards. It's her lawyer. I think in this particular case, I would not be surprised if Brackney was playing some of the cards, though.
I think what he means is she's not doing anything without the consent of her lawyer.
Yeah. I would say that's the case. I would say that's the case. Would you have paid the $165 for the parking lot?
Would I have?
Yeah.
Certainly not an over-assessment.
Yeah, $700,000 over.
I don't see how it makes a whole lot of sense. Just as a business move or any kind of,
Any kind of move. Scott Aaronworth giving you some props. Scott in Virginia Beach calling you J-Dubs, by the way. The J-Dubs moniker.
So glad it's spreading.
The J-Dubs moniker is spreading like
a rash.
wildfire. It's going viral. Organic virality right now with J-Dubs. J-Dubs is good. J-Dubs is an endearing moniker. Higgins says Walker's the next to sue. Give it time.
What would she have to sue about?
I don't even know. Does anyone know what she is doing?
Thought.
Does anyone know what she is doing for work?
I don't.
I don't. I'm going to go on LinkedIn and check her profile. I'm going to do that right now. Does she have a profile? No, it does not have a profile. Yeah, no profile. No personal profile on LinkedIn for the former mayor. Interesting. I found this interesting from the Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning. We had a mortgage broker chime in with comments on Real Talk with Keith Smith this morning, and the mortgage broker, Michael Buchensky, indicated he's working on a deal in Waynesboro right now, and the deal in Waynesboro is a $20 million deal that he's helping finance. And it's for an entire neighborhood in Waynesboro.
Yeah.
Institutional money investing $20 million to purchase an entire neighborhood in Waynesboro.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
It should terrify everyone listening and watching this program. Do you not agree with that?
I definitely agree. Like I said, some people think that hedge funds and who knows who else are buying up properties with the purpose of being the future landlords of America. And
Not only future landlords of America, but future financing vehicles for renters that want to get out of the oversight of their landlords, the hedge funds, and buy a property. They're then going to have to utilize the financing vehicles of these hedge funds. And the hedge funds are going to, by buying up these neighborhoods, they're going to control markets, have economies of scale, drive up home values, drive up interest rates, and drive up monthly rental rates. So they win by the home appreciation.
Yep.
They
by
win
the rents.
They win by the interest rates, and they win by the rental appreciation year over year.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be the worst case scenario for the first-time home buyer.
Oh yeah.
That could be the worst scenario for just the average Joe and Betty.
And if you look at it that way, it starts right now, because if you think about it, everybody looking at mortgage rates going up, obviously cooling the market, and then you've got this big corporation or hedge fund or whoever who can come in and pay cash. So mortgage rates have absolutely no effect on somebody who can come in and just dump cash on it and pay it all off like that.
And why wouldn't you want to do it in an area like Charlottesville? It's because you got the university driving job creation. You got the university insulating the region from macro indicators, macro headwinds. You got, say, Charlottesville in particular, a coveted landlocked 10.2 square miles where nowhere to go. That's not pretty. You've 2x interest rates in a year. You've surged gas prices to $5 a gallon or more nationally. You got groceries out of control. I mean, it's not pretty. You got Powell said this morning, Jay Powell, Fed chair, said this morning, the economy is in great shape. It can sustain rate hikes and more are coming.
It can, I'm sure, but
Kevin Higgins
as to
says
whether or not that's a good idea, or
Kevin Higgins says to update your title to Jack of all wit.
Jack of all wit.
Jack of all wit.
Is he calling me a jackwit?
No, he's saying you're funny.
No, I know, I'm joking.
Jack of all wit.
Yeah. Just because you can do something doesn't always make it a good idea. Just because our economy can withstand X doesn't mean that X is a good idea.
Right. 100%. Larry Summers yesterday says we need 16 million Americans to be unemployed.
Yeah.
10% of the workforce to get out of inflation.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
Let's treat the people like pawns.
Well, I mean, there is some question of, what do you do to stave off a worse problem?
Create a problem for 16 million for the betterment of 330?
I'm just saying,
Create a problem for 16 million for the betterment of 330.
I'm just saying, if you had all of the information and you had ascertained that that what he's suggesting is the lesser of the evils.
I mean, that's the point we're at, you're saying?
I'm saying sometimes...
Leave one man behind for the betterment of the entire battalion?
Sometimes something bad, if it leads to something good, I mean, how do you judge the rightness of a choice if it eventually leads to to something better? I'm not saying that what he's suggesting is a good idea or will work, but if you had all the information and you could see that putting a bunch of people out of work was the best option, and it was your choice to make, would you do it? What if the other option was far, far worse than 10% of the American people out of job?
The other concerning aspect of this is you have now economists. For example, former Federal Reserve economist Claudia Sham saying, expect stimulus checks to be used again if we head into a recession. And I'm like, we didn't learn from the pandemic recession that giving a bunch of free money to everyone was going to cause inflation? And now the strategy is being considered seriously again, with a former Federal Reserve economist saying it's going to come. To expect them.
Because they don't know what to do. I know you think that Jay Powell knows what
I don't think he thinks that. I don't think he knows what to do. I do not think that.
Okay, well, you were saying that
I do not think that.
Announced that inflation was transitory, that you seem surprised when I
said it was buffoonish to say it was transitory. And your response to buffoonish transitory was he had to do it because if he had made it a point 18 months ago that it wasn't transitory, that they would have crashed the markets then.
Yeah.
And I get it, and that's a fair point. But I don't think anything he's doing is seeing the forest through the trees or for the trees or whatever the saying is. And he's in a lose-lose scenario. He's in a scenario I wouldn't want to be in.
Yeah, I mean,
like he said today, he can't make any more oil. He can't create a peace treaty with Ukraine and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
He can't create any more fertilizer or wheat.
Yeah, those are just part of the problem. They're
I heard another analogy. What he has, the chair at his disposal, is a blunt instrument. It's not a refined tool.
Yeah.
He can raise rates. He doesn't have like various size screwdriver heads to get technical with certain projects.
I like it. Yeah, they've got putting their foot down on the money printer or quantitative easing.
Carol Thorpe, watching the program, we've dubbed her the Queen of Jack Jewett, one of the most informed viewers and listeners we have. I will mention this live on air. Carol Thorpe says this in the comment section of one of 15 Facebook pages. Sometime during the last 2 years of her term, Walker finally answered numerous inquiries about her status as a City Parks and Rec employee. She stated she was no longer employed at her job at one of the city pools, but would not say if or where else she was working. I have heard through the grapevine that she has had a very difficult job of getting work locally.
Or she could be doing consulting.
Very difficult job of getting work locally, I've heard from people that I trust. Oh. I don't know, man. Stimulus checks, 16 million people need to get unemployed before inflation is plateaued. That all the indices in bear market or near bear market territory. I mean, rates going up, gas prices, groceries, labor, war, midterms.
Yeah.
Good night. Anything you want to add?
Not a lot of good options. I mean, I think all of this has been building for quite a while.
No doubt.
The government kicked the can in 2008. They ate a lot of the bad bets that banks made, rather than rather than letting them go under, and pump money into the economy, and then in the last 2 years went, full, pedaled down to the metal on the money printer, and like you said, it's a blunt instrument. They haven't fixed anything. They're just hammering away, hoping that hoping they don't break anything.
That's the show. We'll follow closely. Long-form content, localized, humanized, and personalized for you. Showcasing the best of Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We're back tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. with Today y Mañana, the I Love CVille show at 12:30. I will call it and shoot it straight on this program for as long as I'm in front of this microphone. The good, the bad, the ugly. It will always be shot straight.
As will I.
I know. That's what I think people appreciate. And that's the only way we know how. For Judah Wickhauer, Jerry Miller, it's the I Love CVille show on a Wednesday. What's Barking Local is up in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Take care.